Welcome to the 5th episode of ML Backstage. My name is Mars Luna.
And I'm Ethan.
And we're introducing this podcast straight from the 6th dimension. This is a music commentary podcast hosted by my favorite Earthlings, Holokahiki Toves, Kainalu Kamai, and the other guy.
You mean Joshua Luna?
Whatever. Anyway, they're going over the backstory of my surprise 2020 EP, Arcturus. It wasn't even planned. Earthlings, grab your popcorn and let's get started. Back to planet Earth we go!
What's good? What's good? Welcome to episode 5 of the ML Backstage podcast. I got the OG crew with me once again. I got Holokahiki Toves and Kainalu Kamai. Boys, how has your week been? Who's going first?
We always do this.
Always do this. It's just how it is. But
yeah, the usual.
The usual.
It's getting pretty hot here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But it's hanging in there, surviving. I finally got a locker at work, so now I'm skateboarding to work.
Right.
In a couple of days, I'm gonna get my wisdom teeth out, so I'm gonna be pretty bust up. So this is me before.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I know Nalu's being humble about his military tactical gear that he got on right now because he just came back from drill.
Yeah.
So Kainalu's just being humble right now.
Just to show people, this is my other job I do outside the civilian world, and
we'll,
like,
okay.
That's about it.
You should wear that the entire episode.
No, I don't want to be that one guy.
Hey.
I'm not that kind of guy.
Right. But yeah, my week was actually pretty great. I got a lot of clarity on certain things that I've kind of been pondering over and praying over and stuff like that this week. And I played volleyball yesterday because I got all the stuff that I needed to take care of done this week, and I just hung out with some friends, and now like my back is all kind of stiff because my body couldn't, because in Vegas at night it's like about 90 something degrees at 9 o'clock at night, and man, that's not the wave. It's not the wave. And heat exhaustion is real out here. So yeah, I'm on the verge of making some really, really hard decisions regarding like the future. So if anybody listening is like the praying type or like whatever, send some positive thoughts my way. So a lot of exciting stuff though. A lot of exciting stuff. It's about to get real busy. But anyway, the Mars Luna project that we're covering today is Mars Luna's 2020 surprise EP, Arcturus. And I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time breaking down these songs because it's like, these songs were songs that I produced during 2020 to get me through quarantine and stuff like that. And a lot of these songs, well, all 4 of these songs were basically songs about that kind of summarized the year. So, and everybody knows what 2020 was like. And I'm going to start with the first song. It's called Wolverine. Wolverine is a song that I wrote with my friend Lowry that I mentioned in the last episode. The song was originally called Leave Me Wondering. And I hung out with Kyle actually right before the world shut down, and we were trying to write a song together because he wanted to collaborate with me. And you know, he was chilling at his parents' little studio, because, you know, it was the off season from basketball and everything. And we were just brainstorming, and I showed him the song that I was coming up with, and he loved it. And he called it Wolverine. I was like, oh, this is kind of tight, actually, you know. So that song was actually supposed to be his song that I was going to feature on, but it ended up being the other way around. But that song was kind of like about like trying to keep going and not wanting to give up. And that song actually aged pretty well considering my musical situation right now. So yeah, that song is called Wolverine. The next song is called Rose Colored Lenses. Rose Colored Lenses is the song that I wrote specifically about the early part of quarantine, and knowing that, you know, just believing that things were going to get better, and that, you know, we're going to make it out, you know what I'm saying? And just the early part of quarantine where everybody was united and together, and like, you know, we were all trapped in our homes and stuff like that. But I released that song actually during the time when the civil unrests and protests happened across the United States. And it actually, I was very apprehensive about releasing that song as a single, but you know, it ended up working out, because like a portion of my royalties and the streams and stuff go to the NAACP. So at least it ended up being for something good, you know, at the end of the day. Unsent Letters was a song that I had in my Logic Pro library for a while. And it was a song that I wrote about 10 different people who if I needed to say something to them, you know, this was my song to communicate that. And it was just like the things that were left unsaid, and it was addressed to a bunch of different people who are significant in my life in the past, but I don't talk to anymore. And that's kind of what that song was about. The Rose Colored Lenses remix with Serge Jordan. It's basically the same song as Rose Colored Lenses, but the second verse had my friend Serge rap on it. And since it was 2020, it was like, why the heck not? You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't know what was going to happen. So that was kind of, it was like, I didn't know if I was ever going to work with him again. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, let's just do it. And See the Stars. See the Stars was the only song that was not written in 2020. It was the first song that I recorded and produced myself, but I just had it in my library for a while. And I figure, you know, 2020 was the year of self-produced songs for Mars Luna and for me, so might as well add it to complete the whole thing, and just, you know, just have this season of music be completed, you know. So the four songs that were released besides See the Stars were all singles, and I decided to just put them all together, and, you know, because why not? You know, 2020 was a wild year for everybody, and that's precisely what we're going to talk about today. So I want to say, like, for those who don't know, like, the name Arcturus is actually the name of a star. And because this project was an interlude of sorts, I basically just picked the coolest name of a star, and I looked up like all the constellations and stuff like that, and I was like, this sounds pretty cool. This was like, it was like the bright orange star, and orange was kind of like the color scheme for the Arcturus EP. So I just went with it, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like some really deep meaning behind that name. It sounded cool, and I felt like it fit. And so I want to talk about the photo shoot that we did for this EP. It actually wasn't for this EP. It was actually for something else. And I want to go through the backstory of the day at Campbell Industrial Park. We actually shot that back in 2019 when I still had red hair. Because there's actually a really interesting backstory behind it. So, Holo, I don't know how much you want to explain this, but I remember the context behind it, and I'll just say it was basically chasing rainbow season.
Oh, chasing rainbows 2019, man. I don't know if I should explain it or not.
You got to.
It's kind of a sticky situation.
It's a sticky situation.
But,
I mean, we're not gonna mention no names or anything like
right,
that.
yeah. This is the time when I was, on Instagram. I was promoting myself and my business, and short story short, I was just using it for, personal gain at one point. And when you're doing it for personal gain, the universe tells you back down, and I wasn't listening.
Right.
And yeah, I got hit pretty hard, so I needed to bounce back after that sticky situation. So I called up my brother, Luna. Man, let's do this photo shoot, because bro, I was down in the dumps. So and then we did this photo shoot, and I didn't know it was going to turn out to be for an EP he was working on.
Yeah, it was that. I didn't plan on using it for an EP. I think it was for the villain or something like that. But I kind of just saved it, like maybe I could, like, I love the photos, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, I wanted to use this for something, and it just so happened, like I just hastily put everything together. I never dropped like a surprise record before. So I didn't know like how people were going to respond to it or whatever, but it ended up doing really well, considering that it was just an interlude. And I think people kind of just needed music to listen to kind of get them through, you know what I'm saying? Even though it didn't necessarily do, even though my like quote unquote career or whatever kind of just didn't really progress from that. In fact, it might have actually taken a step backwards just for a little bit, but it summarized the year. And it was the reason why I decided to bring that up was because like I wanted to talk about how the events of 2019 led up to what happened in 2020, because I felt like in 2019, like the world was actually kind of in a mess already, like it was probably like the hottest summer it's ever been, or it was the hottest summer I felt like it's been, because I spent like the whole summer in Hawaii in 2019, and it was hot. Like it was bizarre. And like I know, and Kainalu and I were talking about this like before this meeting happened, like human beings don't know how to take care of the planet. And like our reckless lifestyles honestly kind of like it kind of foreshadowed some eerie things to come. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like when 2020 started, like Australia was on fire throughout the whole month of January, right? And like Kobe died, you know what I'm saying? and a legend of his stature and his age, normally like him passing, that doesn't happen. Like that was a genuine shock to everybody, even to those who don't follow basketball. You know what I mean? Like it was a very volatile end of 2019, and it was a very volatile start to 2020. So I kind of figured that something was up, you know what I mean? And or even like, you know, because like I had my highest of highs in like the beginning part of 2020 before the pandemic, but like the world around me was falling apart, and it was just a matter of like the pre-pandemic for me was fantastic. Like I was riding off the high of 2019, like when Kobe died, like I was shooting a little promo video for a song called Rocket Science, which we'll talk about talk about a little bit briefly today, but more so in a different episode. And you know, I made the shot one time, and you know, right after I made the shot and left the park, I found out that Kobe died. I was like, dang, bro, like that's so wild to me, you know what I mean? And getting the villain played at the Golden Knights game, and having an opportunity to get a call back for The Voice when they invited me to their callback in Hawaii that I had to keep a secret. You know what I mean? Like I remember telling Holo, like he didn't know that I was, because the callback for The Voice happened in like February, I think, of 2020, and he didn't know that I was still in Hawaii. He was like, wait, why are you still here? Why are you still here? And then I'm like, this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? But like I had a lot of opportunities music wise to start off the year, and I didn't have an opportunity to kind of build off of that for obvious reasons, you know. And there's not a whole lot to kind of say that hasn't really been said, you know, like with the word unprecedented being thrown around, or like, you know, or like this is something that we've never been through before, you know. And it's like, and honestly, throughout the first part of the pandemic, like I loved being part of lockdown for like a month, you know. Like I'm introverted, so like me being at home kind of like maybe kind of disciplined me a little more, you know. Like I was enjoying being at home and communicating with people through social media, through text and all that kind of stuff. But that got old fast, you know. And then like, you know, George Floyd, you know, was murdered, you know what I mean? And that kind of sent shockwaves throughout all of America and throughout the whole world for a good, you know, couple months. And then, you know, and then basically, like, one thing I did notice that I was, you know, with the world kind of being on edge and being, you know, so unsettling, I remember like trying to do music, you know, as best as I could during, you know, the quarantine era. Oh, and I'm actually going to backtrack because I just remembered something. I was actually supposed to have like the biggest show Mars Luna's ever done during the summer. And going back, like I remember where I was when the announcement that the world was shutting down happened. So I just got a text message, sorry. But yeah, like I was sleeping. I was laying down in my bed. I got news that I was locked in for a show in the summer. And then like Tom Hanks got COVID, and like a whole bunch of things happened with, you know, a bunch of famous people getting COVID. And then like, I was like, oh man, like when I woke up, like, oh, this is getting real fast. And then like, yeah, I was trying to make some music because I thought, you know, this was my way out of, you know, COVID and the quarantine. And, you know, I was making music with some of my friends and stuff like that. And they kind of viewed it as like an opportunity to kind of progress and be opportunistic, I guess, for lack of a better word. But but for me, like, I guess over time, music kind of felt really small to me. Like, I'd rather help solve the problem. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. And, you know, when the George Floyd thing happened and when Rose Colored Lenses dropped in June, like I was kind of going through a funk, and I remember texting you guys and be like, and y'all were like, bro, you gotta go home. Like you gotta come back. You know what I mean? And I think like, the good thing that happened was, you know, like, even though I was, you know, kind of confined at home, you know, I had, the only reason why I was staying, sorry if I'm kind of all over the place, I'm just literally remembering things as I go. Before I talk about my stay in Hawaii, I noticed that during quarantine that I started losing weight because I didn't have a double chin anymore. And I was kind of feeling myself like, wait, like something, I haven't like worked out or anything. I guess my eating habits kind of changed during that time. And I was like, I was trying to like lose weight because one of my homies was getting married in June, and I was pretty much staying in Vegas for that at that point. And like, I fit into the suit that I was supposed to wear, like, and before, like, it wouldn't have fit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been tight on me. I ended up losing like about 25 pounds since like January to June. And it was all because of eating habits. And, you know, fast forward to July, where I was in Hawaii. Well, actually, I had to, July 1st, I was supposed to fly to Hawaii. And then like, I found out when I got to the airport that none of the flights were available. Like, my flight got canceled. So I was like, dang, bro, that sucks. Like, I was so sad. And then like, I had to call my friend who dropped me off, and I'm be like, bro, I'm gonna need you to pick me up. Like, like my flight got canceled. So I ended up, like, when I got home, I spent a couple more days and I flew. I found a flight and flew on 4th of July weekend. And I flew to LA, and like the flights were all, and like everybody was like, you know, masked up but still traveling. It was a really surreal sight. Yeah. And then like flying to Hawaii, and like, and I kind of knew that I was going to be there for a while because I didn't know how strict Hawaii's laws were going to be. And long story short, I ended up staying there the whole year, like the remainder from July to December. And it ended up being the best thing for me to be there because, like, you know, I noticed that like the homies over here, like they were getting their fitness on, like they were working out, and like they were developing good habits. I was like, dang, like, you know what, I'm gonna start hopping on that too. So, you know, it's so it, like, if there was anything that I got out of that, was like, you know, focusing on myself and focusing on like being in the best shape that I can, you know, so whenever I perform again, like I'll be in the best shape of my life, you know. And like, it's helped even with my singing too. Like I've never been so locked in my life, and part of that is due to being in better shape now. And like being with these guys helped a lot. So, and we ended up filming a music video too once things were for Rocket Science, once things were progressed, you know, a little bit more, but we'll talk about that a little more another time. So yeah, like I just wanted to ask, so that was like my recap of 2020. I want to ask y'all to recap 2020 and even like leading up to 2020 from 2019, if anything. So I want to hear like what y'all thought of, like recap what your recap of 2020 was. Go with let's go with Holo first, because I meant to ask him about that, you know, before.
Yeah, so I think the 2019 leading up to 2020, it was actually like a awakening for myself, because of going off of what we talked about earlier, that photo shoot that kind of flowed right into 2020, which is like a new, you know, like when people say new year, new me,
Yeah,
you want to develop new habits for yourself, and this new ideas. So that kind of segued into 2020, along with some other stuff. But going into 2020, I was actually the opposite of what Luna was talking about when he was sharing that, you know, he was connecting with people on social media, you know, texting. For myself, I kind of, to be honest, I kind of disconnect myself, and I have to be honest, I wasn't really you know, communicating on a daily basis with my two homies here, because I stopped using Instagram, and then I also was going on to a vegan diet,
right.
and during that whole shift in changing, you know, not having social media and changing my diet, it actually changed how I interacted and how I stayed in contact with my two homies. So I seen it as a way of, you know, if I have to take care of myself first before I can take care of other people. So I kind of took a step back and like how Luna said, you know, work on yourself, being the best person you can be. So when it comes to, you know, for myself doing photography or doing drumming, Tahitian drumming and dance, I can be in the best shape of I am at that point. And that kind of led me into, you know, knowing what's my old habits, trying to let go what I don't need anymore, and forming new habits that I can kind of sustain into the continuing of the 2020. And I gotta say, it was a pretty good run, you know, good run for myself. But besides the whole pandemic and then the mask mandate and all that 6 feet distance, with all that business, you know, just focusing on what, you know, what I'm doing, what's happening, you know, in my own bubble. I gotta say it was a pretty good run, and I'm still sustaining some habits for myself leading into, you know, this new year, and I'm trying my best to, you know, keep it at a high level and high energy, but knowing that, you know, for me to able to keep going and keep these habits in check from 2020, I gotta make sure that whatever I'm doing in 2021, that I'm able to let go of some certain things of who I was, so I can be the person that I'm going to be in, progress on to, you know, my better self in the coming years. But you know, I gotta hand it to these boys. They, you know, even though I don't reach out to them, they always reach out to me. You know, give me some jokes here and there. Let me know what they're up to, and you know, sometimes I hit them up. You know, but I kind of kept to myself, and but they gave me that space, and you know, I didn't ask for it, and then they just knew already, and you know, when the boys know what the other homie is doing, and they know how to react, you know, it's just fluid like that, and then look at us, we're doing a podcast talking about it, like,
right.
Well, what in the chances are we going to talk about, you know, our experience? And I can say all these myself and Luna and Nalu, bro, we are leveling up, you know, like you never see Luna in a tank top. Bro came up
never that. Never, bro.
Crossing his arms earlier today saying, we're gonna talk about this today. But you know, it's just this, and then we got this guy flexing his vest, like, you know, we feeling ourselves, but it's what 2020, the year 2020 shaped us.
Right.
You know, I got nothing bad to say, because those bad things doesn't cling on to me. Like I don't want to feed that bad energy. We're just moving on to what's good, and this is the good year 2021, which is we're gonna come back hard.
It's like, no, for sure. No, like I want to go back to the thing about you saying space, because I feel like one of the foundations of our friendship is that all three of us need our space. Like I can't, like, because like boundaries are like a big thing, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, just working on yourself, and kind of like, you know, and just kind of like knowing that where you are, like in your current season, you know, what it requires of you to be. Because like Holo, I've seen, like, even from 2019, like I've seen, like, you've had probably the most drastic transformation out of probably the three of us. Like I transformed to Nalu, you pretty much stayed the same. Other than your fascination with ABGs and stuff. Right.
I wrote this, bro.
But I mean, like, I think, like, well, that's good. Like, you know, I noticed, like even Holo, in the way that you dress, and like the habits that you picked up, and like even from the early part of 2020, when we, like, I noticed that you were going through a transformation yourself, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool. Like, you know, it's like you take the good with the bad, and like, and everything in between, and that's balance, you know. And Nalu, I mean, we know where you were, but but if you could explain to us, like, what happened in 2020 for you, because a lot of things happened for you too.
It did a lot. Okay, so for everybody who doesn't know, I was currently on a deployment in Afghanistan from 2019 up until 2020. So right before the pandemic hit, it was around December 2019. That's when the pandemic was just only in China still, but we all knew about it. I knew about it. I was following the news and watching it. And as we slowly got back to leaving Afghanistan to go to Qatar and that side of the Middle East, it started to grow more, and it became a little bit more serious, and we actually almost would have got stuck in the Middle East because of the virus that was spreading at that time. But luckily, they made us get back home, and it was a different welcoming getting back to America, because we had to go straight to quarantine right from leaving Kuwait, going all the way to Fort Bliss, Texas, and then into New Mexico, where we stayed in these kind of CDC looking white tents for 2 weeks. It was like, what the hell is going on? And then after that, do the processing, and then right back home to Hawaii. And same thing again, 2 week quarantine. Like, oh, we've been through it already.
Yeah.
Might as well suck it up and just go on. And coming home was a different feeling, because it wasn't a hey, welcome back home from deployment. It was just hurry up, get on the bus, and you can go home.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a little bit of a life changing for myself and everybody else who just came back, because we're coming back from a war zone and we're coming back home to a different war zone. So
Yeah.
more so, it's everybody's plans, their whole what they wanted to do when they come back home was all changed. Even mine. For one example, I've been planning a trip to go to South Korea after I came back from deployment, and I've even studied the language for that whole year I was out there. And coming back, knowing that there's a pandemic, can't travel, so all my hopes and dreams kind of went down the drain in a way.
Yeah, I felt bad for you. I felt bad for you, low-key.
Yeah, I was so excited, but other things after that I was looking forward to was working more on my photography side, especially for the DJing and music scene. So all those got canceled so bad. And right after we finished our quarantine, which is right around March when we got back, I just ended up just slowly picking up what I used to do before I left for deployment, which is still go surfing, still go hiking, so take photos. And sure enough, that picked up. Things kind of got a little bit better in 2020. And then right into August, that's when my mom and I opened up our clothing store. So that was another big change in life that I didn't really see coming yet until she gave me the paper with my names on it. I'm like, wait, what's going on? hold up. And then after that, it just got better. And like how like how Luna said, we all need our space. And apparently, I guess my space was just pick up where I left off from 2019 when I left, and just try to adapt into this new whole different 2020. And sure enough, fast forward to 2021, now it's somewhat getting better, and hope it stays that way. I hope we don't go another lockdown, because I'm probably might violate some rules. But other than that,
there shouldn't be one again. There should not be one.
Yeah. Other than that, life is kind of going a little bit more better, and I'm just looking forward to
other
more
than you
stuff.
getting more jack now.
Yeah, bro.
What is this?
Oh my god.
Okay.
For those who are listening on Spotify, and Apple, Kainalu just flexed for the camera. So
relax, my homeboy.
YouTube people who watch on YouTube, you'll see that. You'll see that for sure.
By the way, I gotta stay in shape because I'm still in the military, and I go surfing almost every day.
Oh, that's his bio right there. That's his bio.
That has not changed.
It has not changed.
And I don't think that will ever change.
No.
And especially since knowing now that you know that Korea got waves now. So, you know.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
I saw some of your Instagram stories that you were sharing. I'm like, oh, this dude definitely gonna move to Korea. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe a surf instructor. Yeah, I'll be there every day.
I mean, you know,
raw.
Oh,
Patrol, man. Ready.
Oh my God.
I mean, one of the Korean uncles pretty soon out there.
Oh
surfing.
my God, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. One of the things I wanted to ask y'all, since we were talking about 2020, was what are y'all's personal thoughts on COVID-19, the racial tensions, the world being on edge, conspiracy theories, all that stuff? Take it away.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So, in my opinion, the whole thing about this whole COVID situation is I would say it sucks.
Right. Obviously.
It's I think it was a way for governments to control the world in some way. I mean, everybody has their speculations, their beliefs, and whatnot.
Mhm.
But I believe that it's something the world was trying to do. People, I can't really say every other countries did this or that, but
Right.
we all know that it's a man-made virus that was most likely used for things that we may not know of or testing and whatnot. And maybe somebody decided to say, hey, we're gonna just take over the world and see what happens. And sure enough, look what happened now. This just made this whole world into a mess, and we're
Mhm.
trying to recover from it. And it's only slightly getting worse, but at the same time, it's kind of putting everything back to normal.
Yeah.
There's so many other things I would talk about it, but I might get some dirty comments from people, and then
I get dispatched from the military.
no, not that. It's just it's a really sensitive
Yeah.
topic to talk
Well,
about nowadays because
yeah, for sure.
there's it can either go good or go bad, or it's like you gotta pick or choose whose side you want to be on when you talk about this stuff because it's
Mhm.
kind of crazy. That's what I could say about the whole COVID situation.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess I can go. Um, have y'all watched Endgame of Avengers Endgame?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So it kind of reminds this whole thing kind of reminds me, like I literally just had this thought, and I've had my ADD act up this entire episode, but I would say that it's kind of like, you know, how Thanos wanted to wipe out the entire world. Um, you know, and I feel like this is I'm not saying that this is the end game because this is not even close to that. But you know, like Nalu, you did bring up some valid points. You know, I do think that, you know, I think the virus it existed long before this long before like the world shut down. I feel like it's already been in existence for at least 2 years now. Um, like I had like Morgan tell me that he thought that he had COVID like in November 2019 before like it was even brought to like the world's attention. You know what I mean? And I mean, it is a sensitive topic. You know, I understand like all the different sides of the situation. You know what I mean? I'm right now, like as far as I'm concerned, like I want to be able to be a part of the solution and not continue to be a part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm at because it's obviously the world is a mess, you know, and we are getting better, but I feel like it's an illusion. I don't feel like things are actually getting better. And like not to be like Debbie Downer or anything, but like it's just like I'm not trying to be like, you know, just like, you know, because like you know how in the early part of the quarantine, like everybody was working together or whatever, like we were trying to do whatever we could to get us out of the situation. And like I kind of saw like the beautiful side of humanity and the ugly side of it as well. And you know, it's kind of like choosing between like, you know, two evils, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like um you know, yeah, like my conspiracy thing was that it actually existed like long before. And I've heard every conspiracy theory under the sun, every single one. And it's tiring for everybody, you know, and this has been such a trying time for everybody. and like, you know, it just sucks that every little thing had to be politicized, you know, and just like there was literally no room for nuance anymore. And that's the thing that's like, you know, there are multiple sides to every situation. And as far as like the virus itself is concerned, I'm fortunate enough to not have anybody affected by it, you know. And I've seen like you know, sports kind of trying to come back and all that stuff, and having like the NFL outbreak and the MLB outbreak, and you know, the NBA was kind of locked in a bubble, but even that was weird, you know, like from the entertainment side, like it was a very, very weird world to live in. And it's downright bizarre, you know, but I mean, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And I just want things to get better. That's the only thing I care about. Holo, what about you?
Well, off my cue. You know, my thoughts about the whole COVID pandemic. I don't really like focus on too much of the racial tensions or the conspiracy theories. But I'm open to it, and I'm all ears for it. But I noticed that like how you said, Luna, in the beginning, everybody's working together. They're trying to help each other out, you know, trying to enforce the guidelines for the pandemic. And that was pretty much, you know, that the whole rest of the year, you know, this letting us know the guidelines, you know, we need to follow, what to do, what not to do. But going into 2021, I don't really notice that people are getting, like, you know, very impatient. They're getting too relaxed and complacent. And then for myself, I work in the tourist industry. I noticed that there's two sides. There's people who are, you know, they're patient, they're very obedient, they're going to follow the rules. And then you have the other side, that people are not going to accept what's going on. They're going to head, and they're going to, you know, they're not going to wear their mask, and and they're just going to go through their day like, you know, 2020 and the pandemic that never happened. Which is pretty crazy, because I think all of us needed that reset button to be pressed on 2020, because we you know, on real life, you're constant in a day-to-day interaction. You from the time you wake up to the time you go sleep, you got a schedule, and everybody is conditioned, like, you have to be, you know, grinding, you have to be at this 8-hour job, or you have to be, you know, pushing out content, you know, that, because that feels like it's that's the success, you know, to life. But once that reset button was pushed, everybody got that shock. Everybody got to, you know, move ease back into, you know, slowing down and taking the day by day. And I think people took that for granted, and now we're doing it all over again. 2021, we're trying to get back into what was the normal, but that doesn't exist anymore. Like, we got to let that go already. Like, this is the new normal. There's still COVID happening, but people are not accepting it. But then again, we still have all these guidelines we need to follow, and we just need to be more obedient and, you know, follow these guidelines, because for us to get out of, you know, this tight situation, we need to listen. And most people, you know, they're not listening, and they're just going with the flow, like how we used to in, you know, 2019.
Right.
Mhm.
Because 2019 was a mess, low key.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna
see-
lie.
I see
It was a mess.
that
Like, it
second
was
half
my,
of the year,
yeah.
it wasn't that thing. Yeah, it wasn't business.
No, it was the best. I pretty much agree with all of you said, what all of that you just said, because we gotta figure out because like the disillusioned thing about disillusioned thing is not the wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's because the fact is it's a problem. And it's like I read something today, like it's kind of like a group project, right? Like regardless of how much effort each person puts into the group, everybody's going to get the same grade.
Mhm.
So even if one person does all the work, like if one person is obedient and all the other people are not, then why should all the other quote unquote unobedient people get the same, you know what I'm saying? But no, I did like the things that you said about like the, everything, everybody's trying to get back to the old way of living. And that's, quite frankly, we shouldn't go back to the old normal anymore.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
shouldn't, because it should be a better normal than it was before the pandemic happened. And what that better normal looks like, I don't know what that looks like yet. You know what I mean? And like, as far as the masks things are concerned, I'm cool with whatever, but like I committed to wearing a mask like the entire year, because I figured, I kind of predicted that it would, it would stop in like 2022 when we figure our stuff out, but like it's not that big of a burden for me, because it's like it was fine. Like I got used to it, and nobody wants to wear a mask. Nobody does. But it's just more of an inconvenience than it is like it strips away my freedom or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm like, all right. Like I just want to get out. Everybody just want to get out, bro.
Everybody just wants out.
Everybody's like, and find a new normal that, that wasn't as reckless as the previous normal before. And what you said, Holo, kind of transitions into the final question. So the final questions I had are what is the main thing you lost that you took for granted? And what is the biggest silver lining you found in the pandemic? So I guess I'll go first. The biggest thing that I lost in the pandemic was performing in live music. That was easily the biggest thing that I lost. And I feel like my answer kind of ties these two questions together, because like if the pandemic didn't happen, I probably would have played more shows with my band. I probably would have still done the same, build off the momentum that I built before the pandemic happened, because I was white hot. Like I was in the best position I've ever been to capitalize on my momentum. And for obvious reasons that didn't happen. But I feel like low key, looking back at that now, that it was a blessing that it didn't happen the way it did. Because if I kept going the way I kept going, I felt like I would still be in the position I'm in right now. I would still be soul searching.
Yeah.
I'd actually I gained a lot more clarity, since the whole pandemic happened. Like my lifestyle completely changed. Like God found me again, and I ran away from him for a really long time. And everything now just makes so much more sense. Like I'm glad that I didn't perform as much. I'm glad that, even though I was working on music like the first half of the 2020, I'm glad that I was able to come to Hawaii and kind of do a reset, and kind of prepare me for 2021, because everything that I went through, especially during the second half of 2020, gave me clarity on what's going on with me right now. So like the biggest silver lining that I found in the pandemic was I actually had a desire to get in shape. And like when I got to Hawaii, like I see like the both of you, like Holo and Nalu, like you all put in work and, you know, decided to better yourselves, you know, like during the time. And that inspired me because I was only losing weight because of eating habits. And like I decided like, okay, like I was getting a lot skinnier, but like I was just getting skinnier, you know, like I didn't have like a whole lot of muscle definition or whatever. But like just being around y'all like was like you guys were the people I needed to be around, because it made me realize like I needed to change my habits, you know, and that like my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health all go together. Like like no part of you you're not your best self when all of those things align together. And once those things don't align, that's when I noticed like, oh, something feels a little funky, something feels a little off, you know what I mean? And so yeah, I would say the biggest silver lining was just like I needed to work on my like my physical health and just getting healthy overall, you know, because because when I was in Vegas in 2020, I was just surrounded by people who are being opportunistic with music, and that's completely fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But I realized that for me, like, you know, there was a studio session that I had in June. I was working on a song with my friend, and we recorded this song, and it made me realize like, dang, like, is music really that important right now? And it made me realize that it's really not. Like, it's, you know, like the Lord gives and takes away. And I came to a conclusion that like, if I didn't do another show in Vegas again, that if, you know, the numbers on Spotify don't go up, or like, you know, if God took away music from me, I would be okay. I would be perfectly content with that. And I can honestly say that 100% and not cap, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it just made me realize like what is actually important. And like I treated music like it was a drug in 2020. I treated it like it was an idol, you know, and I needed that reset, you know, in order for me to realize that now, you know what I mean? Because ultimately, like I said, like I probably would still be in the same spot running in circles, you know, still like figuring out like what is the next thing for me in life, you know what I mean? So, you know, 2020 was a lot of good, a lot of bad, but there was also a lot of good internally from Joshua Luna's standpoint that came out of it. So Nalu, what about you?
Okay, I'll go since you said me. So I believe the most biggest thing that I've lost to the whole cause of the pandemic was just to continue on with where I left off in 2019 when I went on my deployment to Afghanistan and coming back. So I wasn't able to continue on with my, maybe let's say, the DJing side. All the music events were canceled, so that was no problem. I can live stream at home like all my other friends were doing. And as for the photo shoot side, photography side, wasn't really that much. I was still doing photo shoots with my close friends and still actually going out taking photos, so I didn't have to worry. But I think it was the sense of all the goals that I had set from coming back from deployment completely just got erased from the whole pandemic
Right.
after coming back home. So I had to kind of reset and just start something new again and hope for the best. And that's where it comes into what I found the good part about the pandemic is my resiliency to be committed to my goals that I still had from deployment and kind of adapt. And that's the best thing I'm known for is to adapt to any situation. Like how I was in deployment, that's a whole different realm. And coming back to the pandemic, it's another war zone that I had to fight. But at the same time, I was still able to adapt and adjust and slowly take back all the things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do, and now work on it again. And now it's slowly climbing back up. And from my point of view, it looks like a lot of good is going to come out of this whole pandemic for me, but it won't take instantly. It'll gradually go up.
Right.
And I kind of noticed that recently too. So
1,000.
the pandemic wasn't as crazy for me. It's more like my personal goals got left out. So I had to
Right.
pretty much just start all over and carry on and just do what I usually do best.
I mean, that's survival instincts. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And you've always been like super even keeled about that stuff.
Yep.
You know, so right on. I mean, like the only other thing that you probably missed was not being able to go to Korea, but
Yeah, that's another story. Actually, the funny thing is, if the pandemic, I always tell people this, if the pandemic never happened, this would probably be like my third or fourth time going to Korea, probably. Who
right.
knows?
Ah.
I'd be doing this call in Korea right now.
No.
That'll be a trip.
I would be a trip.
That'd be a real trip, bro.
That would be so funny. You just see me in the
have your ABG right next to you.
I'll
just
like,
laugh, bro. I'd just be laughing the whole time. I'm like,
like I'm not the only brown person there. Yeah,
no, you'd be surprised.
For real kind. That's for real.
Like, what is this Hawaiian? How come we got a Hawaiian that doesn't speak Hawaiian but speak Korean real well?
Yeah, they'd be like,
how come?
Yeah, you different. You
be
different,
like,
bro.
They'd be like, oh, you gave me oh, we go get this
To those who are listening on Spotify and Apple, Kainalu just tried to speak Korean to us. No clue what in the world he just said.
No clue, but we let it slide.
저도 한국말 조금 하랬어요. 근데 네, 공부했었어요. 그리고 let's see, still trying to learn it. I forgot already.
Forgot already.
Yeah.
I remember like during deployment, you were sending us like all these like all these like little stories that you were writing, like these K-drama series and stuff.
I know.
And the funny thing is, I thought when you were in deployment that I thought you weren't going to be able to contact us at all. But it turns out like
so like talking to you like normal.
Right. No, that was the cool part though. Like at least going back to 2019 and heading over to 2020. Like I thought that was pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot, but I knew why you were sending us stuff. So it was interesting to see your development during deployment as well. It took a weird twist, but you're still the same.
Still the same. Don't worry, guys. I did not get the coronavirus. I'm good.
No. No. Holo, what about you?
Oh, okay.
That's for last.
Oh my gosh. The one thing that I took for granted during that whole last year and maybe the transition 2019 to 2020 is actually photography and to be honest, it's social media. Like if I was still on those things, like if I was still doing photography for the whole duration of 2020 and also social media, I probably would still be taking photos. I'd probably still be active on social, of course, and I'll probably be like, I'll probably be on TikTok. I'll probably be like, um, just being very active on social media. And now thinking about it, I can't see myself doing that, Um, and that's the thing.
On a personal side.
Yeah, on a personal side, because it just seems weird, and I know for a fact that that's not who I am anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But for like the photography side, um, I kind of wish that I was still sticking to it, because then I would still, have that outlet to, um, do photo shoots or reach out to other people to, like work together. But then that didn't go as planned. That kind of vanished like Marty McFly on Back to the Future.
Right.
But the biggest silver lining is, this going back to what Luna said, and then maybe like a little bit of what Nalu said, but it's kind of like it's formed into one idea, is actually, this working on yourself and having that, that time, that whole, I think it was like a year and a half before things started, mellowing out, that we have that whole time to adjust our lifestyles and know that, all of us, we have like a, a, a set of things that, that we love to do, like passions that we want to fill our time with. We got to do that kind of stuff. We never get to, spend time with our family. We didn't get to, go out and do some new hobbies that we want to do, or even, get fit and, be the buff boys, that we are now today.
I'm just trying to catch up to y'all, bro. I'm trying to catch up to y'all.
Right. I'm not the only one wearing tank top in that room.
all right.
We're just saying, but
yeah.
It's just, having our own attention, not to all that external things, social media and all that, which is good, you want to know what's really popping out there, but having that internal attention to yourself and knowing that we're not gonna be in a we're not going to be in a fast-paced environment anymore, because we have to kind of lay back with all these rules and regulations now that we need to follow. But it's just, this taking it day by day, and that has got to be the biggest silver lining, is being able to work on yourself and also cherish slowing down, and knowing that for yourself everybody's different, but talking to your body and having your your internal system determine the pace of your life and how to move forward, and not just going off of someone else who is being more successful than you, has many things than you, or even has a bunch of achievements. I mean, that is all good. That is, that's cherry like strawberry, but it's also the the self achievements. And I think I can speak behalf of all of us, 2020 was that highlight of self achievements, and that's the biggest silver lining. There is not all the external achievements going with like photography, music, that which is all good. It's what's what you're dealing with, all the demons that you had to go through it with 2020, or these changes, these ups and downs. We're all in a constant battle, and 2020 was that battle, and underneath that battle was all these other villains and enemies we had to encounter. So that must be the biggest silver lining for me, and speak on behalf of you guys.
Yeah, No, that's fire. That was a whole lot of bars. You know, that's funny. I had this random thought today that the amount of impact that I make on people is infinitely more valuable than the personal accolades I receive.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because like as far as like the music stuff is concerned with Mars Luna, like that stuff I'm working on right now, but he's going through a transition of his own right now, you know, and it's just like one of those things where it's like I don't care if if the Spotify numbers are low. I don't care if I don't. It just doesn't, like, I would love to continue, right? But I mean, it's just like, it's not really up to me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's like God is the one who's sovereign. He's the one who my gifts come from him. So it's just kind of like it's just a very like transformational, I would say, very transformational in the sense of like the amount of clarity that's transpired with each of us has been very inspiring to see. And I'm proud of each of us. I'm proud of our growth that we've had, as individuals. And I can't wait. And then it's only going to springboard to a greater 2022. You know what I'm saying? So we've reached the end of this podcast, and per usual, just drop your social medias and websites and all that stuff. I'll go last because I got a little announcement to make. So whoever wants to go first can go.
Okay, I'll go first.
So
right, you guys already know me. Alamont Photography. You can find it right there.
Hey, you got that young business card. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh,
Young business card.
oh, not the first and last name.
Yeah,
if you call me,
yeah.
I might answer. I might not
What are
answer.
ancestors?
Yeah, so you'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, and if you want my Twitter and Discord, I'm at Hawaiian Opa.
Oh,
There we
Discord
go.
too.
There we go.
2021 Discord. Let's go.
It's mostly used for K-pop.
Yeah, most of his Twitter is used for K-pop. I can attest to that.
That's my K-pop side, guys.
Well, you guys can follow me on my website. It's Holokahiki Toves.co. It's my photography website, but I also have a separate universe called the journal, which I have explain all my ideas, my thoughts, things that I have up in my head. I want to bring out to the world. I post it on there, and I also have my Tahitian dance and drumming Instagram that I'm now overseeing, thanks to the leaders. And it's at Headed Tamanui, which is HERETAMANUI. I'm going to be overseeing that side of my group. So if you guys want to check it out, follow if you want.
All top notch.
All
top notch.
Top notch.
It's all top notch. Seeing Holo on social media is
It's rare.
It's surreal. It's surreal because there's nobody like him on there. Nobody.
Thank you.
Nobody. So go check those things out. I'll link those in the descriptions below on the YouTube video. You can follow me on Luna B Joshua on Instagram. Post a lot of random stuff there. The kids call it a Finsta these days. I'm actually on there more than my music page, which is at It's Mars Luna on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can check out the music website at itsmarsluna.com, and on Spotify and Apple Music at Mars Luna. It's basically, for those who don't know, it's basically an alter ego type thing that I do solely for entertainment.
Yep.
But the reason why I wanted to go last was because Mars gave me permission to share his next upcoming song, Gone, that's coming out on August 27th. And if you watch this video and you want the pre-save link, I got you early. So
No.
so I'm gonna link that at the very end of this video. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening, and watching. It's been a blast being able to do this podcast with my best friends, and it's been a creative tool for me personally, because like music has honestly been frustrating for me due to 2020 and everything beyond that. So this, even though like we're still starting up and everything, it's been really cool, and seeing some of the responses that I've seen, it's been awesome. So hope you all have a great rest of your night, day, wherever you are, and stay tuned for the next episode because we got a special guest coming up next month. And yeah, stay tuned for that, and see y'all next time.
Joshua, I did not give you permission to leak Gone. It's on site the next time I see you, boy. Let's go.
Hey, calm down. You did give him the file out.
Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this episode of the ML Backstage podcast. If you liked what you heard, follow us on Spotify and Anchor, and subscribe to us on Apple and YouTube at ML Backstage. The EP that the boys talked about in this episode is Arcturus by me, Mars Luna. You can peep that record on Spotify and Apple Music, and you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at It's Mars Luna. You can find all my music on Spotify and Apple Music and on my website at itsmarsluna.com. Thank you all for watching and listening. Even though I didn't give permission to Joshua to share the song, here's a sneak peek of Gone since you're all very, very special to me. But stay tuned for next month's episode. Bye! This song was kind of inspired by relationships that had certain commitments in place, but they never followed through on those commitments, or they made these promises, but they ended up breaking them later on. I was gallivanting through the park one day, and I was walking and running, and while I was listening to music on my walk, I thought of this line that was, I pulled up at the spot. And that line conjured up so many thoughts and so many different ideas, and I ended up writing the song when I got home, and here it is. I pulled up at the spot where we had our first date. I pulled up at the spot where we had our first kiss.